Bruce, so glad to have you here with us today at LifographTV. I always ask our guests, the first thing we ask is, what are three things that people don't know about you?
Oh, wow. I'll give you three random thoughts. First is that when I studied physics as an undergraduate, I'd hoped to be a nuclear particle physicist, and as you can tell, that didn't happen. Hopefully I'm better now doing what I do. Second, I do my best thinking when I'm walking, or I do my best interaction with people when I'm walking. Maybe we should have done this while we were walking. And third, in my childhood, my father was a Presbyterian minister, which taught me empathy. And I think when I work with entrepreneurs who go through lots of struggles, I value that empathy that I learned in my childhood.
Definitely need lots of empathy when we all come to you and say, please give us money. Talking about things that people don't know about you, what was your first job, and what did you learn from it?
Well, I suppose in some sense my first job was delivering newspapers when I was 11 years old, but my first real job out of college, I came straight out of college into Intel Corporation in 1980, and I was a process development engineer in a fabrication facility, chip fabrication facility, and it was a pretty new technology, and what I learned was I had to literally build equipment. So we'd build stuff, we would try it, we would test, we'd learn, we'd go back, rebuild, and yet again, I mean, it's an iterative process, which today is, for me, more played out in helping with startups that are inherently very iterative.
Right, kind of building process. Yeah. Talking about Intel, I know you're president emeritus of the Intel Alumni Network. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. Myself and a lot of my colleagues that I worked with back in the day at Intel, back in 2007, we all got together and thought there should be a network, an organization to allow all of us who are very proud of what we did back in the day at Intel to keep us in touch and meet other interesting people. And now the organization has chapters in multiple cities around the country, and it's a really great set of people and a lot of valuable people to know. So we have a lot of fun.
Oh, probably very big as well, right?
Yeah, several thousand.
Yeah, very nice. I know later in life you went back to school and got a master's degree in computer science. What inspired you to go late in life back to school?
Well, part of it was just on a lark to see if I could do it. I had already long since left Intel Corporation, and where I traveled the world in product marketing for microprocessors, presenting to all the big computer manufacturers around the world. And finally I decided I really need to understand what I was talking about all those days. And so I applied at Stanford on a lark, and amazingly they took me. And honestly, it was probably the hardest thing I ever did, because I walked in there at age 47. Everybody else in the class generally could have been my children, and they had come straight out of top flight schools, so I had to work really hard. Then I had to come home at night and help my own kids with their homework. But it was an unexpected thing. I think today I probably wouldn't even do what I do, except I got introduced to the whole entrepreneurial community that revolves around Stanford, and kind of led me to the world I live now.
It's fascinating. I wish I had that energy. Talking about Stanford, I know you were a mentor at your alma mater, Stanford, Purdue University. What do you enjoy about it? What do you like about it?
Well, yes, I do mentoring in a variety of capacities, both at Stanford, and my undergrad degree was from Purdue University. And it's just the energy of the student-run startups. I mean, just inherently, you put that many smart people together in one place, and it tends to generate really amazing things. And I hope I don't offend anybody by saying this, but when you're at college age, I think you don't know what could go wrong, so you're braver to just head right into it.
I like it that way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there'll be no stuff.
Absolutely. So it's energizing, and frankly, I learn probably more from them than they do from me, and I hope nobody ever tells them I said that. But.
Well, it's very interesting, and I know you're also an investor, as an angel investor. You also invest with a band of angels, and one of your investments is Life360, a very, very successful company. How did you make that investment? What attracted you to it?
By the way, I met them at a business plan competition at Stanford, even though the founders were from Berkeley, which is really ironic, but that's a story in and of itself. And it was definitely, for me, it was definitely the founders. Chris Hull's the CEO. He's just a wonderful individual, sharp as a tack. And I mean, when I first met them, things were not at all clear. But yeah, I think it's all about people. And I just got drawn in, and I feel lucky to have met them on a happenstance.
Very nice, very nice. A good call there. Talking about startups and the pitching and what gets your attention, you know, in a pitch, right? Like, what would you look for in a pitch?
I would say first and foremost, I just said it a minute ago, it's the people, you know, like, and what I look for, primarily the CEO, but any of the founders, I want simplicity and clarity of communication. Because in a startup, it's a complex world. There's a lot of gunfire going in every direction, but the leaders have to be able to put all that aside and give a simple message that's easily understood. And in fact, I have friends in the investor community that talk about complexifiers, which are startup founders that know how to take what could be a simple story and make it sound incredibly complicated, and that's what we don't want. We want simple clarity of communication, number one. Second would be passion. I mean, it's obvious, I guess, but they're going to go through, I mean, well, I want them to be driven by a real desire to fix a problem, not just, hey, I want to start a startup to make some money. Nobody wants those founders. You want somebody who, there's a burning reason that they want to do what they do. Right. Third, I call it grit. You know, it's just incredible determination, because I'm hard-pressed to think of a startup that didn't go through more than one point in their life cycle where they were just on the verge of giving up and going home. I mean, I'm sure there are startups that did not ever go through that, but that's rare. Anyway, so that's grit. And finally, I call it magnetism. And what I mean is, there are people that just tend to draw the world into them. Like, it could be drawing in good people into the company, it's drawing in good investors into the company, and first and foremost, it's drawing in customers, you know, duh. So,
that's the most important thing.
Right, the most important thing.
Yeah.
So those are my four.
Oh, cool. And that answers actually my next question, which was, you know, what you're looking for in a founder, you know, what are those traits? Yeah, so.
Yes, exactly.
And as an angel investor, you've been making investments for a long time. What is maybe like the best lesson that you've learned from angel investing?
Well, they at the risk of sounding repetitive, it's all about people. And it's not just that I'm looking for great people in these startups, but my whole life is all about people. It's about having like when I'm in say an advisory role with a startup, I know that, you know, probably a good 30-40% of the time, I know the answer they need right away. But I also know that the majority of the time I don't. But I know that I have a vast array of people behind me that I can make the phone calls to. And so it's all, you know, and that's an attribute I try to build for myself, and it's an attribute I look for in my entrepreneurs.
Well, thank you so much, Bruce. I really appreciate it. I really like that you repeated it's all about the people, because that's Lifograph's mantra.
That's right. Kudos to you.
Thank you so much for the interview. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.